Welcome back to Bottled Water, everybody. We are here for the 9th episode, I think. Yeah, 9 sounds good. It's a nice round number. And today I have got Big Willy here. And so you know what that means. It is the Battle of the Beards. Battle of the Beards. What's going on?
What's happening? Never a battle of the beards. We're a brotherhood. It's a band of bearded brothers.
Yes.
We might, in the backgrounds, let them know we argue about who's got the better beard. But on the front lines, we're united as beards, right?
I think we can safely say we have the best beards between the two of us as far as the UFO community goes, because nobody can stand up for themselves right now.
Sometimes. Joe from UFO Garage, you get him going.
Yeah.
The man's a libertarian at heart. I'm just saying. He's got a solid hair beard combo. He's got a solid beard, but you're not right. The feelings are a little sensitive sometimes out there, so it's always interesting to see how that's going to work out.
Yeah. So let's talk about, for those who don't know who you are, why there's somebody named Big Willy on the show. And for the 2 or 3 people who listen to this on Spotify and my RSS feed.
Heck yeah. So let's start with the name, I guess, right? Let's get that out of the way. Because everybody always starts with that. They're like, okay, Big Willy. First of all, I did not pick that name for myself. I feel like that'd be the most conceited name to ever just like come in and be like, you will refer to me as Big Willy? That's a very weird thing to do. But what happened was total accident. I believe it or not, this is nerdy for sure, but like I was playing what do you call it? Like D&D. And I had to cover for our the dungeon master the one night. And I just put it down, instead of being Willy, I just put it down as Big Willy because I was in charge that night.
Yeah.
And I forgot to take it back off when doing another show one time. And somebody was like, Big Willy. And then it just started like steamrolling. People started calling me Big Willy. And I was like, I think I'm onto something here. So I just left it. But that's how that whole thing started. Definitely not a name I picked for myself. And it stuck. But I'm having a good time with it. And it's been different because right about the time it happened, I had a show I was doing with my brother, and I loved it. It was Band of Bearded Brothers, or BOBB for short.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like our thing. We were the Band of Bearded Brothers. So I didn't really have an individual personality, as it were, necessarily on YouTube at all. We were strictly doing podcast format. We had just started dabbling our toe into some of the YouTube stuff, but StreamYard changed the game for everybody. I mean, across the board. It's really helped anybody. Basically, if you're a listener right now on Spotify or anything, don't forget, first of all, to rate and review this podcast. That'd be helpful.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but you can honestly get started. And I gotta tell you, man, I'm watching even like the mainstream media, like the news, doing their broadcasts sometimes, and I'm like, we're keeping up with that. Like they're right at the same level. I feel like,
it's kind of crazy when you see that, and then you look at the UFO community, the amount of views and the way that it's growing. It's like, oh, sweet. We're starting to really gain steam and
very
pick
true
up faster and faster.
That is true.
So now you do UFO Garage, correct?
I do. Yeah. Ben and Joe, they'd always kept up with the Band of Bearded Brothers, and they kind of noticed we were having issues being able to keep up with our shows, and I said like, hey, we really like the work you're doing. We think you'd be a great little addition to the show. And I was very honored. I was like, heck yeah. So I started doing a little show for them now on Fridays, 10 p.m. Eastern to midnight before the Spaced Out Radio stuff. And from that, led over into actually that too with the Spaced Out Radio. I run a little show on the after hours with Gemma Jade, Thin Lizzie Borden, and John Hudson. And we just share like just unique stories. I think some people are a little taken back by it. Spaced Out Radio has a reputation of being very professional, and they are. And I'm not saying we're not professional, but we're bringing a much more lighthearted kind of approach to these stories, and we're not getting as intricate and as detailed as what I even normally like to get. It's just enough to get people hungry to like, you go find this story for yourself. Go find the truth of why you're going to believe it or not believe it.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 places that I hang out, and yeah, that's honestly about it. I'm terrible at getting on Twitter, as you and I know, dude. We've been, I don't know, how long did this even take to get set up? You think about it from the first time we met? God.
I think like last year.
It probably was. It was
last year sometime.
Thanksgiving-ish, maybe, was like maybe one of the first times we met.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh yeah, I'll hit you up on Twitter. And then it was like every month, maybe one of us would respond or send something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for those of you that don't know, I am horrible at responding to things on social media. And I actually just keep forgetting that Instagram exists.
Happens.
So people message me on Instagram, and like it'll literally be like 3 months, and I'll be like, let me go on here. Oh, well, that was sent a while ago.
Love it. What are you gonna do? It's what happens sometimes.
You just forget things exist, and people think you're an asshole because you're not responding.
Can happen for sure. I mean, I think people get like that anyways, right? Like, no matter who you are, it seems like in life, somebody's got something to say, right? And what are you gonna do?
Yeah. If the person in the house that is watching this on the TV can turn the TV down, that would be great. She's hearing it right now.
I love it. So I can't hear it all, but I'm assuming you can hear something on your end.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have like a delayed echo to myself, and only I can hear it. And I'm like,
I love it.
Did you ever see that experiment where they put headphones on people? Yes.
Good.
And they put headphones on people, and they could hear themselves speak, but it was delayed by like half a second, and it would like trip you. It does something to your brain where it stops you from, like, you can't say an entire sentence.
It really does. And especially, like, I remember when we first started getting going with some of the podcasting stuff, my brother and I, we were in the same room, so we didn't have headsets. Well, we kind of had a headset, but the way we had it set up, it was, we were hearing it in live time. And then we started doing this remote stuff. And yeah, you're not wrong, man. Like, for whatever reason, sometimes we didn't realize you had to mute certain things or whatever. And you were just getting that delay or not hearing yourself. That also was like a little bit frustrating. You're like, for whatever reason, if you could hear the other person crystal clear, but you're not yourself. But I'll take not hearing myself over having that delay, because having the delay, there's no way.
Have you ever had the loop start going, and then it's like if you have a YouTube channel open, like for whatever reason, if I had the YouTube channel up right now and didn't mute it, and then it starts looping through.
That is also really bad. You're talking about like where you can like accidentally hear that back play or the back end. Yeah, that is terrible. And I remember Gemma Jade for a little bit. I love her so much. This is so funny. She'll laugh hearing this. She at one point was on doing Discord, right? Or excuse me, Discord. She was on here doing StreamYard and didn't know that for whatever reason we could watch each other on StreamYard. So she was watching on like YouTube. And we would say something to her or motions or something. We'd be like this, Gemma. And it would be like this sometimes 20-30 second delay. And then she would just answer. Like, we would just move on. Be like, well, I guess we're not going to answer, right? And she would be like, oh, yeah, no problem. She'd go to answer it. And we were like, what is going on? We couldn't figure it out for a while. We finally told her, like, Gemma, what are you how are you watching right now? Because there's something up here. But yeah, it's weird how it doesn't take much to mess with somebody. Our perspective on things is so unique. So the whole having somebody mess with your audio or visual, I suppose, too, I've never really experienced that too much. But the audio aspect, you wouldn't think it would get to you as much as it does, but it truly does.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Yeah, it really messes with you. Which kind of leads into the UFO topic.
Let's do it.
So, obviously, right now, the world is in a weird place.
A little bit, unfortunately.
And I saw a lot of predictions where people were like, nothing's going to happen because the Greys are going to stop anything.
Save us.
Yeah. And I was like, no. And then they're like, well, we're just going to send our TR-3Bs out there and we're going to stop it with our recovered alien tech. And I'm like, how's that going?
Yeah, it's someone was talking about this the other day. You know Bree and Jamie, right? From the one time I was talking about. So They actually were briefly hitting on it with Spooky was on there with them, and there was another setting they were doing. I can't remember the panel they had on, but they were saying there's this weird consensus sometimes in the UFO community where it's like there's a, I don't want to say like daddy issues, but kind of like the Sky Daddy's gonna save us, basically like we're waiting on that to happen. And first of all, any opinions I expressed today on the show are like they're solely mine. They don't represent Ben and Joe or UFO Garage as a whole or Space Out Radio, any of that jazz. This is just my opinions or thoughts on things. But I have to say, I think if there is something definitely observing us and has been for a very long time, I would, if we're taking even the closest human approach, which I never like doing because it's such a human approach, but if we approach it the way we do animals in the wild, we don't really get involved until there's an extinction kind of setup. Until they're on the brink of extinction, then we really start to get involved with either the breeding process or their migration, any of that. But as far as scraps that take place between people or between the animals and the animal kingdom, we're not really allowed to get involved with that. If anything, we record it. We put it in National Geographic for us to watch later on. Like, dang, look at that bird. It just got taken out.
Yeah.
Do you ever see that video of I think is it a mountain lion? Yeah, it's a mountain lion. And I think it's some kind of a gazelle or a deer. It couldn't be gazelle, but it's a type of deer. I believe it was a mountain lion. And it's going down the hill, right? And this mountain lion just jumps on this thing. And, dude, they tumble down this hill. Yeah. Oh my God. Dude, they had to have fell 150 feet, it seemed like. This video goes for a while.
It just got up and was just like,
yeah. Dude, if I fall from standing position to the floor, I'm going to need a minute. I'm going to need just a moment to let me take a moment, let me breathe, let me take in everything, see if we can, if I'm going to survive this.
I got to see what I just broke.
Exactly. But yeah, I kind of interrupted you. I apologize. Going back to what you were saying as far as the Greys getting involved or anything, maybe they would, but I kind of had the feeling that it'd be very close to, unless we're at damaging maybe other entities, if there are other entities, and I don't 100% know your opinion on this yet, so I guess we'll get to do that today. We'll just chat about it. But if there are other species on this earth besides humans, which a lot of people subscribe to that idea, and I'm saying even things like different plant life. I'm not necessarily saying this, which I think certain plants are sentient in their own right. It's just because we can't communicate with them that we assume that they're not an intelligent
but
species.
they can communicate with each other through roots.
Exactly.
Their root system. And they can share nutrients and everything, so.
Very, very true. And I think
going on than we know.
I think if we were just going to wipe that out, then I could see something getting involved to go, well, hang on a second here. And that could be something I could see taking place. But again, that's just my opinion. I don't know. I kind of feel that we have to learn to walk on our own 2 feet. And I don't know, kind of, I didn't even look at the chat. Yeah, the Sky Daddies from now on. Yeah, Sky Daddy might not always be there.
Yeah, I think we should call them Sky Daddies.
Sky Daddies. It's the way to do it.
If I'm ever, if for some reason I am ever on like CNN or MSNBC and they're just interviewing me about UFOs, if for some reason it gets that bad for them, so it might be CNN first, but if they ever are just like, we have to have that bottled water guy on, I'm just going to call them Sky Daddies without smirking 100%. Or skipping a beat, and I'm just going to be like, yeah, well, we don't know what the Sky Daddies are thinking. Just because the blank look on their face is going to be like, what the hell are Sky Daddies? And then I'll just completely ignore it. You know what they are.
Call them SDs. Go with the acronym first. So then it sounds, anytime anything just turned into an acronym, we're like, well, I guess it's smart. If you're like, well, the SDs, depending on what the SDs are going to do here. And then people are like, well, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So,
the SDs. Oh, yeah. The SDs. They're just like nodding their head. Yeah. Those. And
then you plug it at the very end, like as you're leaving. So you agree, yes, the Sky Daddies will decide what we're going to do.
The Sky Daddies, they know what we're doing.
Oh, man.
See you later.
It's so funny, the perspective of the community. We were just actually hanging out with Josh and Artemis. They were on last night. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. And we were talking about the community as a whole and how it's so diverse and we have so many personalities, and
Hmm.
even with us kind of finding our rhythms, it's gonna ever be evolving. I don't think it'll ever be this thing that's just stagnant, and clearly it shouldn't be because it'd be dead.
Yeah.
But it is pretty interesting how some people get very upset. Like, I know there's certain places I can't go, and I try to be respectful, but I can't go
Hmm.
in and say Sky Daddies. Like, I'm not allowed to go. I can't go on there and be like, hey guys, let's get real. Let's talk about Sky Daddy right now. And
Right
it's just not
now.
gonna fly. But, you know, I feel like I was able to do that here, and obviously you were receptive of that. So.
Oh yeah, no, there's like no limits on anything in this show.
Love it.
But I think going back to, I think it's possible there might be other what we would consider intelligent life around us, and maybe we just can't see them or interact with them. I have a theory that there's just a areas of on Earth where like reality is a thinner membrane, and things from other universes or the multiverse are kind of accidentally wiggling through every now and again.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I mean, let's hit on that a little bit far as, I mean, clearly, like, where's the first place you go to, in your opinion, then, if we're going to talk about that? Like, in your opinion, where's the main place you'd have to say you see that taking place?
Skinwalker Ranch.
Right. I mean, yeah, we have to talk about, I mean, that's the only way, right? I mean, Skinwalker
Yeah.
Ranch is, man. Now, I can't remember clearly. Did you say you've had an invite, or you've been close to possibly getting an invite to go there?
No, I have talked to Brandon on the
That's right.
phone and a few other times. Still trying to get him on the show, but schedules.
Yeah, very true. I like how the Josh. I'm not sure who. If it. By the way, who is it when it says the Josh and Artemis show? Are we getting Artemis? Are we getting Josh? Or they're
Well,
one
I
and the
don't think
same?
Josh was momming all day.
That all that. Oh yeah, you know what? I just read that. Yeah, I've got my coffee right now. Gotta tell you what. But I just like the comment there. Sugar daddies. Hey, couldn't we all use a sugar daddy though? Right?
Right? Like
Is it a sugar
just
daddy or we can't? Well, I was to say we.
yeah.
I think,
Sugar
yeah,
daddy's fine.
sugar daddy.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at sugar daddies. No further than that. That's just too far.
No
We don't want to make any
further.
assumptions now. Uh, but yeah, the Skinwalker Ranch stuff. I know I used to irritate my brother so much when we would talk because he's very analytical, very ones and twos and numbers, and that's the way he has things set up.
Hmm.
And when I would bring up a whole idea of like a thinning of the veil in certain places, he was just not, his opinion was always, and to be fair, it took him 2 years, but he came around to the idea of the phenomenon, or that
Yeah.
there's possibly these other, beings that are here. And he used to always say, if I can't feel, touch it, or see it, then I just, quite frankly, don't know. And we're taking somebody at their word.
Yeah.
And that's, to be fair, I mean, that is true. We are kind of just taking somebody at their word. So I can't really fault him completely on that, but I think that with the amount of evidence that's been compiled, and I kind of think has always been there,
Hmm.
it's very hard. We're no longer the minority, in my opinion. But there's a lot of science starting to be able to point to
Yeah.
something factual.
Well,
So that,
and to kind of counter the if I can't hear it, see it argument, right?
hmm
How many people have seen, say, a great white shark in the wild?
very
Not
true.
not a video, but actually seen one in person.
That is true. Even like, yeah, even because you can't really go. I mean, I suppose there's certain. I've never seen one. Like,
Yeah.
even going to like an aquarium or something, they normally don't have like the great white shark just chilling in their aquarium. So yeah, we're kind of definitely just taking their opinion on that. But I suppose his rebuttal to that would be like, well, yeah, there's video of it. We know, like, scientists agree that there are great white
Great
sharks.
white
So
sharks.
there must be great white sharks, I guess.
Yeah, when talking about like the thinning of the veil in Skinwalker Ranch, it just really seems like that's what's going on there with all the strange electromagnetic field stuff that's going on, and
Mm-hmm.
And I look at it and I'm like, well, you know, that kind of explains things like the big zombie dire wolf that
Mm,
took a bunch of rounds from a 357 Magnum,
yeah.
and the dinosaur beaver from Skinwalkers at the Pentagon book, and like all the other weird stuff that they've seen.
I don't think I knew about this. A dinosaur beaver?
Yeah, it's like
What?
a beavery animal with like leathery skin. It doesn't have fur, and it's like I guess it gave the person who witnessed it like a really hard time to comprehend what they saw.
Wow. I mean, to be fair, just a regular beaver, right? Especially when
Yeah.
they come out of the water all wet and everything. They can be hard to recognize what you're looking at sometimes too, and they're little angry critters sometimes, and they're chattering away. But yeah, I guess I had, to be fair though, I haven't read the book yet,
Hmm.
which I know that everybody was really ranting and raving about. That came out, well, it's been out for a couple months now, I guess.
Yeah, it's been out for a little bit.
But I do remember the specific instance with the dire wolf situation. What was even more interesting about Mr. Crowley, what is shaking, brother? Oh, Obi, thank you for being here. So much beard. Obi
All the
says.
beards.
I love it. What's interesting about that is when they were tracking it, the flesh that did fall off
Hmm.
then decomposed like really rapidly, which
Yeah.
lends more credence to what you're saying, far as maybe because those molecules, for whatever reason, once separated from its life force, couldn't exist in this realm, I guess, or this
It could be
dimension.
vibrating at a different frequency than what we're vibrating at, and then
True.
those, and that could actually explain how these animals just like disappear. They just kind of
Yeah, because it just
cease
walked
to
into the water
exist.
and was
Yeah,
like, "Boop, peace."
they're like we followed this wolf, and it just vapored away. And
I
I think we're onto something.
I think so too. Look out, Mister. Oh, I almost said. What's that, Robert Bigelow? You know that's ancient news. You no longer matter, Mister Bigelow. I'm just kidding. I have such mixed feelings in it too. People are saying, "Oh, he bought it," you know, maybe looking for some of the oil that was in that area.
Hmm.
There's a lot that goes to it. I have to say, I think, even though there might be some truth to that, I do think that Robert himself, as a man, has always been pretty curious, and he was very, very detailed. Excuse me, in the people that he selected to be out there initially for the initial studies. I mean,
Yeah.
he really vetted them out. Anybody who, like, I was joking when we covered it the one time, my brother and I was like, I wouldn't be on the team. I wouldn't have made the team because there was that chance that I'm already kind of a believer. My
Hmm.
brother probably would have made the team because he's the guy who's like, yeah, I'm here to disprove this. You know,
Yeah.
and I respect him for that. I just think he genuinely has been a curious man all of his life. And he's clearly, even beyond now, continued other projects. So I don't think it was just for the oil. I think the oil wouldn't have hurt. But I don't think it was like the only reason that he went there, you
Right.
know? But yeah, I don't know. I guess the phenomenon is cunning and baffling, says Obi. I
Hmm.
like your adjectives. Cunning, baffling. Look at those
Baffling.
adjectives. So descriptive. I love that.
I also have this. That's like my main theory on Skinwalker Ranch. I also kind of want to believe that, like, in some other version of reality in the multiverse, somebody did an experiment there, and that like weakened the fabric of the multiverse.
Hmm.
And they've tried to set up like a containment around it, but every now and again, the wildlife that's native to their Earth like sneaks in and walks through the weakened spot.
Yeah. Could be. Plus, you take into account. Actually, I think when my brother and I covered this way back, God, we'd have so much to update now. But we did an episode a long time ago covering the Skinwalker Ranch, and the conclusion when I was reading along the way, I was like, bro, this feels like Cabin in the Woods. You remember seeing
Yeah,
that movie back in the day with Channing
yeah.
Tatum and all that? Because they were like talking about when she seen the guy. She literally at one point basically sees a Men in Black encounter. And he's in the camper, and he's writing he's writing out paperwork. Like, well, today we sent out, this amount of orbs, and we did this, and he's just writing along. And they kept hearing until the day, even Robert Bigelow and those that have taken over now, I am drawing a blank right now about the gentleman who owns it right now. You just said his name at the beginning of the show.
Brandon Fugel.
Thank you, Mr. Brandon Fugel there, or Mr. Fugel. Have reported these, sounds, the machinery moving under the earth. Will, you're going to laugh already? I'm not even trying. No, you got it, Mr. Crowley. Listen, here you can really let go. You can really let go hard. You can't crack me that easy. It's his goal every time to make me laugh. So, but I feel like that whole idea of something being under the ground, we could go one of two ways with it. Some have hypothesized that there's a craft that crashed down there, right? And then it's causing this extra energy in that area. Some have said there's the military underground tunnels and stuff. But if we go back and we look at the reports, this has been going on for decades, maybe even centuries.
Time.
Yeah. I think as much as I hate it, I shouldn't say I hate it, as much as maybe it's not as fantastical. Some have said, with the ley lines, maybe there is some tectonic plates that line up there that are causing that sound, that shifting, which would create a lot of energy. Maybe we just don't understand the science behind that yet. I don't know, but it's really fun to think about. I think I'd be a little nervous to go there, not necessarily in a terribly bad way, but I'd be very respectful of it. I'll put it that way. I don't think I'd be walking in there like, bring it on, do your worst. Like, I'm pretty sure I'd be like, all right, I'm here, I'm willing to learn. Like that's kind of the approach I think I would take if I went.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's the place where you kind of like walk under the property and just be like, "What's up, bitches?"
Exactly.
That would probably not go very well.
Although it'd be a nice little TikTok somebody could put out there if they're into that,
Yeah.
Dude, I remember I was so into TikTok up until I don't know, maybe like spring or summer of 2020. I had like a goal. I hit my goal of like the followers or whatever, the people that hang out. And then I don't know, it just lost something once all that stuff came out about the information on it, which I think, like, we all know. I mean, come on, this stuff's so back and forth. But
yeah,
it's funny because I still reference it as if I still keep up with it consistently. And I'm glad I got off of it a little bit because this was when the pandemic stuff was going on. So we were all at home, right? But I felt so obligated to have to keep up with everybody every day that it was like stressful trying to like keep up with people that were just chatting or wanted to come hang out. Mr. Crowley says, I'm writing Big Willy on my UFO Garage dick pillow I made just on the tip though. Well, we've all seen your dick pillow and it's a solid chode. He's very thick, very he's got girth, You can purchase those. Yeah. UFO Garage podcast there. I love it.
That's
Father
awesome.
Michael, buy my
Father
book.
Michael is here.
Oh my gosh.
He's
Oh no, remember we said we're united.
Yeah,
Father
the beards
Michael.
are united.
Exactly. Band of bearded brothers. Although there are some great beards out there in the community. Wasn't Jeremy Corbell, didn't he go to the beard game for a little bit? Didn't he really try?
I think he still has it.
Does he still have it going on? Lou's breaking out the beard game. He's trying to break into that. I think they're recognizing something. Or like there's something about this beard,
It's really good that people are no longer, saying that I am Jeremy Corbell. Somebody was like, I thought you were Jeremy Corbell. Yeah.
You should have rolled with that. You should have just wrote in I am Jeremy Corbell as your username.
Just be like, what do you mean? Of course I am. Do you know how long it takes to put these tattoos on to be Jeremy on other days?
That's right. Reincarnation of Jeremy Corbell. Because don't some people say too that Ryan Sprague and him look alike? And I'm like, I don't know that I get that one. I think you look way more like Jeremy Corbell than Ryan Sprague does.
That's probably why people say it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, when people said the Jeremy Sprague, Ryan Sprague, I was like, I feel that's a stretch. That's a stretch, guys.
Yeah.
We're stretching it. We're looking for something there, and I don't think it's there. I love it.
Yeah. I would rather people got me confused with Joe Rogan and had 11 million viewers.
That's one that you want to get confused with. Oh man, yeah, Joe Rogan, man. We're probably gonna get canceled. You're gonna get canceled for bringing up his name on here. They're gonna shut you down. They're not gonna allow that. Oh man, Joe Rogan.
Everybody knows the way to get canceled in UFO community is to say Bob Lazar was right.
Oh my gosh, people get so, yeah. I don't know, man. I people again. You know what I found? Okay, even when we're covering, and we've done this even with like the after hours show over there at Space to Radio and stuff. When we're covering an account of anything or sharing a story, people argue the intricate details of a said story or a said experience. They'll get really hung up on those, and people make encampments and entrenchments and like, no, it was this or that. But at the end of the day, they all agree something happened, and it's like. I don't think you get to, what's the old saying, throwing out the baby with the bathwater kind of deal? Like, just because one thing is off, or there's a misunderstanding, especially when it comes to viewed things, like I understand people are really big on observation, but again, we're talking about something, if it can indeed affect literally what you see individually per person, then to me, what you saw visually doesn't necessarily, sure, if you've seen the exact same thing I did, we're helping confirm or corroborate the story there, but it doesn't necessarily mean that because we've seen something different, at the end of the day, we both seen something, so something happened, and that should be the important thing,
If we took that stance on every single like UFO story or encounter or anything like that, we wouldn't believe any of it.
Very true. That is true.
There is no such thing as a story that doesn't develop inconsistencies.
Yeah, especially over time, And, with the Bob Lazar thing, like I always hear, and again, I don't know this story intimately enough to really give an educated opinion, but I'll give like an ignorant opinion on it. So the whole, him basically being a pimp, Pimp Daddy Lazar at one point kind of deal. Yeah. If you dig into that stuff, it was like he rented out a building for somebody else who was conducting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the story is twisted as, oh no, Pimp Daddy Lazar was going hard in the streets with a fur coat. And it's like, well, that's not really what was going down.
Got baby powder, puts it on his hands.
Backhanding people left and right.
Bam!
Oh, put some
Bitch,
element 115 on that. Yeah, but, element 115 was really, I think, the thing that, like him or hate him, guys, he just either pulled that out of his rear end or he was right.
Yeah.
Did he embellish some of the other stuff? Perhaps. I didn't even, it's so funny when I first started really getting into Bob Lazar a little bit, I found out he had just moved away from me. Like he lived not that far away where I'm living right now, or grew up at least. I was like, this guy was building fireworks, like just chilling out in a building. Or I was like, if this guy is out here just solely trying to sell something, which, to be fair, especially early on in those days with the UFO topic, there's no money probably even till today in the UFO stuff. Like most of us are paying to do these shows that we do. We provide our own like platforms. If anything, most of us are putting money into it, and we're kind of all trying to help fund each other by supporting and all that jazz. There's no real money necessarily. There's been money for the big ones back in the day if they got a promoter who got a hold of them, wrote some books, did some things. I could see where maybe Bob got hooked up with a bad promoter, or some people ran with some things. And I could see how that rubbed people wrong. But as far as Bob himself, I mean, the story's been pretty consistent. You go back to what it was then. You take it Jim Goodall when he met him, the same stuff that was getting thrown out, where they basically were throwing out his information, that his clearance, and his social security number started to disappear, where he went to college started to disappear. If those are things that happened to him, sure, we're all going to believe the man's crazy. Who's going to believe the U.S. government or entities that be are deleting a man's existence? So,
there's no way that could happen.
Never. Nope. Never a chance.
No, not at all.
So,
that's just a conspiracy.
That is a big conspiracy. But you are right that people could really get heated on that. And I've always wondered, like you wouldn't obviously you were in the military and stuff. I'm sure, you had background in that. But I think anybody who's even not been in the military, if you're trying to break something up, if you realize people are onto something, if you can infiltrate that with a couple players or characters who really muddy the water up and ruffle some feathers, get some arguments going. Once they can get those arguments going and people assume positions on either side, they don't even have to do anything at that point. You just kind of let the thing self-destruct from within. And I think that that's still probably going on, and certainly was running rampant throughout the 80s and 90s and into the early 2000s. I think the video evidence and what's come out with now with the military, and we're actually getting proper paperwork to the U.S. government to document some of this stuff, has really changed the game.
Yeah.
But for a long time, you could just run wild with it. And who was really checking, who were the checks and balances on that? We really don't know. So I can understand why some people were apprehensive, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So a few years ago, when I just got out of the military, I worked at a car dealership. And I was a car salesman. And I had a customer who was in the military, and then he worked for one of the alphabet agencies.
Oh, nice.
During
ABC
Vietnam.
Warehouse?
Yeah.
That makes sense. They're a big player in the game these days.
Yeah, they are. And his DD-214 only existed on microfiche.
Wait, what is... I'm not familiar with that.
That's your separation of service.
Okay, all right. So he essentially was not in the system? Like, if he went to the...
No, he wasn't.
Wow. I got
And
you.
the VA said he was dead.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What happens if he goes to the VA? Like, okay, so that's how it was written up. And I'm sure that was the official report, right? Like, you look it up, that's what's in the... if we put in a Freedom of Information Act or whatever, that's the information that would come back to you, is that, well,
Yep.
he died in a combat training incident or something of that nature.
Just something completely, ridiculous. Fell out of a helicopter at 5,000 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that might be a little bit. I think it's probably something so. It has to be something so boring, because if it was 5,000 feet falling out of the helicopter, first of all, I would not that we don't want anybody to die, but that alone, if that was the header, we'd all be like, what? What happened? He went skydiving. He forgot his parachute.
Oh, yeah. Man. He was walking across the street and got smacked by a semi-truck.
That's where he went out.
Like that guy who made that engine, that car that ran on water.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just completely.
Do you remember him?
Ghosted.
I remember my grandpa playing a VHS copy of this that he had and then he burnt it to a DVD. Grainy screen that we were watching on.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was showing all this, and my grandpa's like, "Yeah, this is the future." And then there was he just disappeared. And I was 9, maybe when that was all going on, somewhere there, 9 and 11.
Yeah.
And by the time I was 11, yeah, we just all knew that was the guy that disappeared. And that was the running, I shouldn't say joke, but the running story was yeah, he's gone, but he's not gone. Right. Either they did take him out or you're coming to work for us, one of the two.
Excuse me. Could you imagine how much that would have changed the world?
Oh, it's with nuclear, right? Because have mixed opinions. Again, not my area of expertise, but nuclear power, when ran right, when set up properly. So I was an industrial pipe fitter for about 6 years, and we would do water towering and coolant towers and stuff. And it's not nuclear necessarily, but it was the same concept. We were cooling down these massive plastic melting mold machines, and they would get extensively hot. But a lot of the nuclear stuff, that's how they ran too, is that coolant would just stay in place. That's what happened with the big meltdown that took place in oh my gosh, what was the name of where they had that nuke in 2010, wasn't it, or somewhere in there?
Fukushima?
Yeah. First of all, U.S. sold some bad equipment to them, and I think we knew, and we probably sold it at a premium price too. Mm-hmm. But the point being, there is, I believe it's called, is it euthorium? Would be and they were already working with that in the late 40s, early 50s, but they knew there wasn't going to be any money in that because, again, you're scaling it down. It's
but it also doesn't have the weapon potential that uranium has.
Exactly, it's so much more safe.
Yeah, they didn't want to. Well, if I can't turn it into a bomb, get that out of here.
Yeah, because it always seems like the Department of Defense, I mean, that's how they exist, right? Everything is the threat narrative. Everything is the threat. If there were locusts coming somewhere, well, they could be kind of, I don't know why I picked that, because those actually can be a threat. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it could be anything, and they'd be like, it's a threat. And
It's a threat.
fund
We
us.
have to stop the threat.
Fund us all your money. You give us the money, we promise we'll be okay. Even though they probably are the ones who release some of this stuff that's come out, and they already have a back patented program to finish it, and you're going to get next money to fund the next thing, and frustrating.
Well, with all the craziness going on in the world right now, I don't know if you know this, but they found a gene sequence or a like an amino acid sequence in the big pandemic problem that was patented by Moderna 3 years ago.
I do remember seeing some of that before it all like shut down, like everything was gone, all the articles that were like, woo, gone. Even though I thought, wasn't the CDC or the FDA was the original one to give the report on that?
No, this just came out a few days ago.
Really?
After the Ukraine, Russia decided to be douchebags.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I can find it. I wanted to retweet it, but I was just like, you know what? People already get pissed at my tweets.
I just had Priscilla today message me, right? The quantum witch. And I told her, because she was like, I'm trying to follow account. Like she did something with I think redid an account or something. Yeah. And I was like, I don't really think I'm worth following, because I was like, all I do at least on Twitter is I'm just sharing memes or other people's like live shows. That is it. I don't I just haven't given, which I don't know. You've been on Twitter, I guess, more than I have. Do you think you can share more on Twitter freely without being shut down than Facebook, or is it about the same?
Yeah, you can do a little bit more on Twitter than Facebook. Facebook's algorithm is like straight to jail.
Yeah.
Twitter
undercooked
goes,
chicken straight to jail. Also,
straight to jail. Love it. Twitter will at least go, are you sure you want to say this?
Oh man, they go that approach, huh?
Yeah.
They're like the next step up as a parent.
Yeah, I want to do it. I want to shit post. No.
Love it. Yeah, Mr. Crowley, he was flashing his DDs the other night, huh? You whipped that bad boy out. He had a big golden sticker and everything.
Oh, he got a golden sticker.
He did. He had a golden sticker.
It's more than I got.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's, I don't know. I was telling him, because I'm the first person in my family, on my dad's side at least, so on my dad with his mom and dad, 4 generations back. Actually, 6 on the one side, but on both sides, 4 all the way back and then 6 on the other one, to not serve in the military. And it was probably because I didn't meet that side of the family until I was 19. Otherwise, I probably would have ended up in the military. But you walk in, there's a whole wall, the living room that's dedicated to everybody's pictures and stuff from over the years. And I definitely have mixed feelings on it, because I feel like I've always kind of questioned things, but I also can see where there's times where I can get very conformed if needed. You know what I mean, to accomplish a task. So if someone steps up, if someone takes charge and they have good leadership skills, then there's no reason to fight that. If they've got some answers, let's go with it, right?
Yeah.
And so I have mixed feelings, like, would have I still questioned things if I'd gone in the military? So for yourself, do you think the military was a plus? What were the pros and cons of that, I guess, in regards to the phenomenon subject?
Nobody ever really talked about it. I mean, we didn't have conversations about UFOs, and when they were seen by people, they just didn't say anything.
So it was like that happened.
Yeah. It's like, well, I'm just not going to say anything. You're not going to say anything, right? Oh, yeah, let's never talk about this again.
That's true. But I suppose would I'm sure you got to see some things, or at least know some people that experience other things that, being everyday common folk as it were back home. We have a very protective little glass world that we live in, and I recognize even for myself, as much as I try to be aware of things, you don't get to really grasp something until it's in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I just really hate sometimes. I shouldn't say hate. That's a strong word. I strongly dislike how much myself, I can be guilty of this, and others take like what we have that's imperfect, but man, we have some freedoms that are really just truly underappreciated, and it's due to love it, like it, or hate it, the military and some of what we have. We have those freedoms because of that. So I definitely always tip my hat to those that have served. I mean, that's especially now. You got a lot more volunteers.
Yeah,
which means they're hopefully a step above the rest. Back in the day, it was like, hey, prison? You got prison, or you want to go to like the military prison? One? You know what I mean?
Which one are you doing?
Yeah. And I know I've had some people say, too, they think the military is not what it used to be. As far as like they were saying the people that served in World War II and all that, they were like, that was the last generation of the military that was really, really well respected. And then it just totally changed from, obviously, Vietnam was just...
Korea,
I don't know.
And then Vietnam.
All of them. And then, but you look at... Oh, sorry, I just realized there was a question, I think, that I apologize. I was talking over you there. I don't know if you had a question. What did you say?
No, I didn't have a question.
Oh, you will always question. I'm sorry, I just saw a question at the bottom. So he was just saying you will always question. I got you. True, so you just kind of keep your head down, do what you're doing.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But I think talking about like wars and stuff, wasn't it in, I don't remember specifically the year. It was either just prior. I think it was just prior, just after. Wasn't it Dwight or D. Eisenhower who put in the act where the federal government could print money during times of war? The Federal Reserve could.
Yeah.
So that without getting Congress and those to sign off on it, so they essentially had a way around it. As long as we were in times of war, we don't have to go through the proper course of action to get these things approved. It's just, well, we're in war. Prove it.
War. Money
and
for everybody.
I was going to say, look what happened. I mean, outside of the break between Vietnam and I suppose Desert Storm, we had the whole Cold War going on. Mm-hmm. But we've pretty much been, at least since the late 80s on, we've been in a war there's been, how many years between between Desert Storm and us going back over again? Maybe 5 years? Something like that?
Yeah,
maybe
but we had Bosnia and Kosovo in between it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So, that's what I'm saying. There's always been some sort of operation that's...
Mm-hmm. There's always a conflict.
Yeah, and then, look, we pulled out of stuff here. That was that whole thing that went down last year, and then now you got what's going on now. And, man, I don't know. It's
getting crazy, but the TR3Bs are going to save us all.
First of all, wait, what is the acronym on TR3B? Because I don't know that. That's how uneducated.
I don't know. I don't know who came up with it, but a lot of people run with it. The triangle craft is the TR3B, and I was like, well, having been in the military and knowing designations, T is usually used for training. R is for reconnaissance. Don't know where the hell the 3 comes from.
It's the third rendition of it.
Maybe
it's the third.
And then B would be for a bomber, for a aircraft. So it's a training reconnaissance third generation bomber. What was the TR2B or the TR1B?
No clue. Not anything that's I don't know. It's I don't know. I mean, who knows? Because I always feel like the lens that we get, right? Looking through the social media lens is a roll of the dice. I'll still go with it. I still watch some of it, but I'm always like, what's the agenda, right? It's all opinion pieces. But if they're being accurate on the reports, man, it really seems like, I literally heard them say on the radio today, you flex at me, bro? I don't think I did. I don't think I was flexing. You were flexing. He was flexing on all of us last night. He was pulling out his guns.
I've got plenty of those.
They were basically saying on the news earlier, they were like, yeah, Putin might want to up his personal security. And I was like, it's a pretty strong statement. They're saying he's doing so badly. Because I want to say something like he's already lost, I thought they said 3,500 Russian soldiers already.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate that
That's
is.
what I was like, how did you get that? Where did you get that exact number? to be like, yeah, 3,422. Very precise number that you're coming out with.
422. Who the hell is counting these?
Exactly.
But I'm watching this, and we've always been told Russia's the big, big bad enemy. They're this big scary military, and then we're watching what's happening in Ukraine, and we're like, they kind of fucking suck. Like, we were scared of this.
Yeah, and that's where I guess if I'm worried about it, because I think that Putin definitely thought he was just going to steamroll that.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And I don't know what all defenses the Ukrainian military really has. I mean, nobody ever really is like the Ukrainian military.
Yeah.
But clearly, I mean, this is like their home, so I get that part of it, the home field advantage. You look at right, wrong, or otherwise, I mean, we didn't really necessarily win. The war, the 20-year war in Iraq and all that, like that
right. In Afghanistan. Well, actually, Iraq, we came out.
That is true, but Afghanistan.
Way better. Afghanistan, on the other hand, nobody's ever won a war in that country.
Nobody.
Like, even going back to like the Ottoman Empire and everything. Yeah. It's just not a place you go to fight. It's a place you go to die.
You just go there to die. But like you're saying, or what they were saying is the home field advantage. So, I mean, for Ukraine, I mean, there is no retreat, right? At this point, I mean, they've already put the ban on if you're 18, I think 46 or something like that.
18
as a male.
Is 60.
60? Oh, man, They're going hard on this now.
Yeah.
They're like, sorry, son, father, grandpa, you're all staying.
You're all going.
You're all staying right here. So, I mean, at that point, and again, for anybody who might be watching, please don't take me like laughing at this, because my heart definitely goes out to them on a lot of this. But I think the supply chain issue, it just seems weird with the Putin attack. I mean, people aren't trying to call it that, but let's face it, at this point, I think we can all safely say this is an attack.
Yeah.
It does seem weird the way he planned it. Like it wasn't it 2014 where he just kind of walked into Croatia, wasn't it? Crimea, thank you.
Yeah.
But he did the whole like blocking of he did like the digital attacks and stuff for like 2 weeks prior. People didn't know what was going on. Blocked out the communication. Whereas this one was like, we're live streaming still from there, and they're communicating out enough so that people are like, all right, to the point where Germany today committed. Did you see the Germans commit all their weapons that like it goes against basically their version of a constitution? They committed like their 100 Stinger missiles, 1,000 Stinger missiles. They had like a whole list they committed, as well as the Finns, the Swedes, and I think the Polish or somebody else were all trying to send stuff in. But I don't know. I guess all I'm saying is that if you watch the news at face value today, they really made this out like Putin's not winning this right now. They're like, he needs to be worried about his own life at this point, because they're thinking that some people, the what is it they have out there? Not like a parliament.
The KGB?
Essentially.
The KGB runs in the oligarchs.
Mr. Conley says Germany has like no military. Yeah, I don't know their nope. I don't know what their, I suppose the stipulation since World War II has probably kept them pretty in check.
Yeah, we were like, excuse me, you've done this twice now. You're done.
Yeah.
No more military shit for you for a while.
I can't remember that one German comedian. He does like, he did like beatbox videos was how he got started originally, and different voiceovers, and he was on Conan O'Brien. This was a couple years ago, and Conan was asking him, he was like, he was saying like how in America, bad people in movies are always played by a German, right? And he was like, so who plays bad people in German movies? And he was like, still the Germans. We know. We are the bad guys. He was like, we know. This is us. I was like, oh my God. Made me laugh so hard.
We are aware of what we have done.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But hopefully things work out, because I know that I don't know why Putin. The one thing that doesn't make sense is, did you see how they're stirring up all the dust over there at Chernobyl? Do you see that? That's weird. That's a weird. Like, as a military, like, just as any person in the field, like I'm saying, like as an officer, even if you're getting the command, or you're say a colonel or whatever however their rankings work out in Russia, I don't know what it is, but the point being, once you get your orders, I get that you're supposed to just follow them, but at the same time, you think it'd be like, hey Putin, like, things aren't cool over there still. I mean, I know we do tours and stuff, but like we start stirring up the dirt.
Yeah.
Like,
let's drive tanks through it.
let's drive tanks through it.
Like, if I was that commander and I got that order from like the higher ups, I would look at it and go, no.
Lost in translation, be like, I thought you said don't go there versus go there. But he did take the lower one. He is moving towards, I can't remember the name of that one, which I would hope, and I'm hoping is just for purposes of like shutting down the power grid, which is, you would think that I'm aware of. Ukraine has no air force, correct? Right?
No, they do. They have the ghost of Kiev, who's now taken down 6 enemy fighter jets.
I forgot about this story. I just literally seen this maybe like 2 hours ago, and I didn't read on it, but I seen it pop up, and I didn't know if it was real or if it was like,
Oh no, it's real. That dude is badass.
Wait, so there's like a single dude who was like, I've got a jet and I'm going up? Like, is that what happened?
He's a Ukrainian fighter pilot. And he, as far as I know, he has the most kills in modern warfare in air-to-air combat, because air-to-air combat doesn't happen anymore.
That's fair, yeah. World War II essentially would almost be the last time, right?
Yeah,
Vietnam didn't happen really, so yeah, World War II. Besides like air-to-ground missiles, but that's not really air-to-air combat.
No, this is the only dog fighting that's like happened. I think there was
Snoopy got me a little Mr.
I think there was one incident in Syria, but it was just like one plane shot down another. This one guy has shot down like 6 other aircraft.
Wow.
And like Su-35s, I think it's like 2 Su-35s, 2 Su-25s. Like, he's shot down a couple MiGs. I was like, this dude is a beast.
I wonder if they're like flying by themselves. You know what I mean? Like, cause like when again, guys, not my area of expertise, but my understanding would be when we fly out, you're generally not alone, right? Like the military, at least how we run things, you usually have a small squadron, or I shouldn't say squadron, but you have your 2 to at least generally 3, right?
Yeah, you have your wingman and...
Yeah. So I'm wondering if with the Russian ones, if they're like going in by themselves, and that's why he's just able to pick them off. Because if you were just going in by yourself, maybe they just, you know what I mean? It wouldn't.
Yeah.
If you have the element of surprise, but you think by number 7, they'd be like, all right, guys, just so you know, there's a guy taking all of our planes out.
He seems to be really good at this.
It's a really good shot.
You guys might want to stay away from Kiev.
Oh, man.
Just because we're tired of losing jets to one fucking guy.
One guy. Okay, so outside of this one legend, apparently, that's going to be hailed for all of the 21st century, that I was aware of, they don't have too much of an air force. And
not that I'm aware of.
And that's why I don't understand why Putin, instead of actually sending in ground troops, I get you need to hold it, but you'd think he would have just sent in a couple jets and just... Oh, now I'm thinking about what I was about to say. I was going to say, like, bomb the nuclear plant, but now I'm thinking of saying that. I think it makes more sense why he hasn't done that yet. But you know what I mean? If he's just trying to disable it, I suppose you'd want to use it in the future. But if he was just trying to destroy it, you'd think that'd be the way to go. But clearly, blowing up nuclear plants is usually a bad idea. Probably.
Bad idea.
Bad idea.
It's an economic and ecological catastrophe on every single one.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the Snake Island? The soldiers on Snake Island?
The Chinese?
No. This is Ukraine.
What? No.
First of all, I didn't know they had an island that they called Snake Island.
That's a dope name. Snake Island?
Yeah. Hopefully it's full of snakes.
I have to look this up. I'm going to be highly disappointed if we get there and it's just like snails everywhere.
Yeah, it's like green.
Very disappointed.
It's covered in ice and... But,
all right, Snake Island.
So
I'm sorry, continue.
This Russian warship is on its way to attacking the island, and it goes on the radio and says, "We are Russian warship. Lay down your weapons so nobody gets killed." Basically, right? Like, surrender so nobody gets killed.
Yeah.
The response from the 13 Ukrainians on the island was, "Russian warship, go fuck yourself."
That's awesome. We're basically like, screw you.
Yeah, and then they all died. But I was like, that is so epic.
Wow, I thought we were going to go... really not a happy ending at the end.
No,
Dude,
they definitely did not repel.
that is
Dude.
interesting though, because this island kind of from. Well, I'm getting two different shots here of it, but like the one shot's almost showing as if it's like
Here, let me bring it up here.
the angle on this one, which could
Yeah.
be somewhere different. I'm thinking that's got to be somewhere different because this looks more like what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think the one you're showing is like off the coast of South
Yeah,
America.
this seems a little more. Wow, so it was not very big at all.
Nope, that explains why there's only 13 people on it.
Yeah. Interesting though. This looks like it's actually kind of a little more. Wow, if
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it.
Just a little
Yeah, there's
military
nowhere to
outpost.
hide there either. I mean, there's where do you go? You know,
And what would you want with it?
I don't know. I'm trying to look at like make a shape out of it in my head, and I can't
And
even do that.
I don't see a snake.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
a teapot or
yeah, I don't see the. I'm not seeing the snakes on there.
mm-mm.
Is this a different place? No, it looks like that's probably the same one. I mean, that looks
Oh,
nice
that's
and
it
green.
during the summer.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's a port, something I could
Yeah.
think of.
Could be.
Either way, though, that's either way, it is a little, I guess, concerning. And my brother and I have talked about this before in the past. First of all, I think, and especially like yourself, you know, you and Mr. Khan, those that have served, every option should be exhausted before, you know, like war.
Yeah.
But we used to have this conversation, like hypothesize of the could today's society, it's going to be different. It's going to be very different if this goes really south. Solely for the, I think we all felt the squeeze back, say in the 50s, World War II. That, you know, there was the shortages. People had to, you could only buy so much, but they only got to see what they were shown. And now with everybody having phones, and again, you still have the mainstream media trying to control that stuff, but people uploading stuff to the internet.
Oh, they don't have any real control over it.
It's gonna, and we even kind of seen that in Vietnam. Vietnam was the beginning of that, where people started to see a different picture of what the war really was, you know, and understand maybe just how gruesome, you know, war is, and it's
Yeah.
I don't know. KMAN 847 says I'm stoned. Oh, well, good for you on a Saturday. At least it's a Saturday, right?
Yeah. Saturday, it's a good day to get stoned.
Yeah.
I live in a state where it's not legal, so you know. What I am like, I'm really impressed with like the way the citizens have stood up and like
Yeah.
they're just out, and I'm also extremely impressed with how willing the Ukrainian government is to give AK-47s to everybody.
And in detailed instructions on like modified cocktails, like anything to build a defense. Yeah, they're very much so. And that's what I'm saying with Putin not shutting that down. As far as the communications, they're able to communicate and get armed and get stuff set up.
Well, you know what happened?
Which is good, but
today, just a couple hours ago, Elon Musk said that Starlink is now beaming internet into Ukraine.
oh,
So
Musk
now-
is involved with this now, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Could you imagine he just flies over with like a mother truck and like he brings some of his what do they call it that he shot up in the air originally? His
The Falcon,
Skylink.
The Skylink, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I can't remember. They're almost like drones. They almost look like, but they're the satellites. But if he had one that had like the flamethrowers attached to him, he just starts torching circles like Game of Thrones style with a dragon coming in on the Russians.
Builds a
God.
giant electric-powered dragon that shoots
God.
fire.
Oh,
And then he's just like, yeah, well, you know, I thought, why not? So I built it.
why not?
I could see him just talking about like the mechanical process of building this fire-breathing dragon that he sent off to war with Russia.
God. You know what was weird about too? They were showing that some footage today of like the Russians trying to drive and get across rivers and stuff over there. I don't know if it was just me or what, but dude, I'm not kidding. It kind of looked like looking back at World War II footage. I was like, what are they wearing? Like their uniforms, even their weapons, which I believe is still the AK-47, right?
Well, they're AK-74s and AKMs.
Okay,
So they've been updated throughout the time. They keep making new versions of it with different different trunnions and different recoil springs and just making it better. Bolt setups.
The AK-47 was pretty notorious for jamming originally, wasn't it? Oh no! I'm sorry, I have that reverse. It was notorious for not. You could beat the crap out of that thing, and it also was very highly. I mean, the penetration on it was pretty deadly, but the accuracy was where it took a hit, right? Generally speaking.
Yeah, because it's full auto, so it just bounces around as you shoot it.
Yeah,
but yeah, I would not mind a authentic Ukrainian AK-47, the nice wood stock.
Yeah.
Brand
I don't know. You put wood stock on anything, or wood grain, in a vehicle, like a good wood grain or wood stock. You're saying, I don't know. There's something about. And again, I get it, Mr. Crowley. I'm setting you up here, but there's something about wood when it's worked right. Okay, when you build a nice cabin, or there's just good craftsmanship of wood, and it's very admirable. And I've always been drawn to when you see a piece of art or whatever that's crafted from wood, where there's just something about it, just it feels a little more. It's not like picking up a Glock,
Yeah.
Ooh, very cool. Look at this handcrafted 3D printed Glock I've got right here. It's not necessarily the same feel. Oh man, I don't know.
No, yeah, I mean, it does look better, and it's got a quality to it. And then there's if you see an original M16, you're like, ew, that looks like shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of it's plastic and they didn't work very well. So,
No. But there's, who is it? What was that show back on the History Channel back in the day? God, what was that show called? It was was it called Face Off or something like that? It would always pit different warriors. Maybe it was called what was that
maybe
called?
Face Off. Oh, it was something. I know
It wasn't Face Off, but it was something where it would pit warriors from throughout history. What if they were to have encountered each other? And they had one in particular where they were actually having the weapons fight each other, and it was the AK-47 versus the M16. And they had them build them blind, they had these guys doing blindfolded, disassemble them, reassemble them. They had them, through a variety of tests. And I gotta say, the M16 definitely was way more accurate, but that AK-47 held up. Far as they beat the crap out of that thing.
Oh yeah, you can.
And he assembled it faster than he did the M16. I was surprised on that. I honestly thought for some reason it was gonna. I didn't think it was gonna get ahead in that one. I understand again too. You're just two guys, so you could have human error in there, obviously, but not like they went through 100,000 people. We're all right, let's see the real numbers on this.
Let's get some random person off the street.
Hey, you.
I want to see you operate this.
We should bring into the conversation. Bring in Bree in. Could you imagine Bree from that one? Yeah. About bring her in and be like, "You build this AK-47 for us right now, Bree. I want you to disassemble this, reassemble it."
What are you talking about?
I love it. We were telling her today because she said that she was saying that she's kind of a little bit nervous or scared of guns, and I was like, well, I mean, I think it's healthy to respect, anything. Yeah. But we were telling her, we were encouraging her, you should go out and start with a 22 or something and just go have some fun. And maybe even start with a BB gun. That's a great way to maybe get introduced to just feeling comfortable with something.
Functionality and figuring out good handling practices.
But there's a rhythm to shoot, it's so honestly now I'm really gonna sell the BB gun here. It's cheaper right now if you just want to pea shoot at something, because the ammunition is just ridiculous. But archery and just overall I always enjoyed with the BB gun doing long range shots doing this when I was a kid, but the archery was so relaxed. I mean I think it's just a relaxing thing to do, and it's kind of, for me, I didn't recognize it at the time, but now I can see it would almost be a form of meditation, because you're controlling your breathing just like when you got a firearm. You're going through all these steps, and I think just being self-aware, it's a big thing, especially when operating something that's, has the potential to take people out. I mean, that's why, isn't it in Asia they sell they can't sell weapons, right, to everyday folk, but they can sell air-powered ballistics.
Maybe Japan.
Is it Japan? I know one of the two. I know that they had some it was deadly. They were showing the feet per second.
Yeah.
Me. And it was I mean, it was keeping up. It was like, and it was all based off of air pressure or combustible, like almost like a CO2 chamber setup. But I mean, I suppose you gotta, that's where it goes back to, like, you can make all the laws you want.
We're still gonna find a way to get around it.
Yeah, and if anything, people are gonna make more dangerous ways, you know. Like, but it is what it is. And
there's an air rifle, or like it's some type of pellet gun that you can hunt deer with.
Oh my gosh, with
and
deer.
it's like a 50 caliber or something like that air gun, and it will like shoot. I know it'll damage like plate steel.
Wow.
And it's like whisper quiet. You can it has a threaded barrel. You can put a suppressor on it.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But, you know, honestly, like, depending on what you're doing, say survival situations or whatever you got going on in life, I like that they throw that out, like, that's just the, you know, we all got those survival situations, right? But it would be the perfect thing. It's so light. It's not really going to be hindrance, you know, like a big cumbrance to carry it around, and it'd be quiet. So, like you were saying, just if we were talking about like just collecting game, if you had to go that route,
yeah, I
don't think it'd be a bad thing, because who wants to fire off some big loud gun to get like this one little rabbit you're trying to get? Blow half the rabbit away while you're at it. It's just like, God.
Damn it.
God. Dang it. Kids eat through the BB. God. It'll be all right. Just keep going. Oh, man.
That's kind of what they do. I've never like gone bird hunting yet, and I don't have the right type of shotgun for it. But I'm going to be getting myself one so that I can. And I always think about it like, so go pheasant hunting or duck hunting or something, right?
Yeah.
You gotta pull all of those steel.
Yeah.
Or do you just like throw it in a stew and then run a magnet over it or something? Like,
sometimes so it's interesting is like, depends on how good, like, I guess it depends on where you hit them. Some guys are so freaking good. Like, my dad was a really good shot, and he was good enough that he would just lead them right to where a majority of it, if it did hit and get in, it was just kind of lodged in the breast meat a little, but you could just barely see it when you were skinning them down or whatever. And it wasn't a huge deal. And I know obviously he would go anywhere between a 410 or a 20 gauge, so it was you know, brought down a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as the amount of powder that was in there, so it wasn't necessary. I mean, if you could shoot them with a slug, bro, that's some skill. But also too, if you hit them, like, it's gone, right? Like, you just feathers.
Imagine hitting a bird with a 3-inch slug.
Oh my God, it would just blow up. It just blows up in the middle. All I can picture is like from Shrek when she's singing all high pitched and just like blows up. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, now we're gonna get canceled for sure. Now too. God's sake, we've mentioned Joe Rogan. We've mentioned guns. We've mentioned birds exploding. But what did we say? Not Pimp. We said Bob Lazar. Yeah.
Everybody's so angry at this right now. Just angry tweeting.
You know what's interesting though is with that, you know, at least if you're willing to have the conversation with anybody, you know, like nobody's ever we're not all gonna agree on everything. So I think that concept of people having to agree is weird, and I think the important thing is like as long as you and I can disagree to move on to something, like it's weird that if I believe this way, all of a sudden I have to convince now bottled water better believe the way I believe. It's just a weird thing to get hung up on. I get if you've had a personal experience, those are, you know, and we were actually just talking about this last night. It's really hard for experiencers because for them, their personal truth is something they've lived. So it's a lived experience. So like we could relate it to even you going through basics, right? We can only talk about it. I can hear you relay the story. I can see it from movies. But there's a difference for someone who's actually gone through basics and experiencing that. And so I think when somebody questions that to them, or like, was it really, you know, this or that? It's like, were you there?
Really this bad?
Yeah, were you there? Of course. Now, have you seen the badges they give out?
Oh yeah.
Again, okay. Listen. for a hater right now. I'm not trying to make fun of them, okay? But all I'm trying to say is
I am.
we're really lowering the standard. Again, I'm not a peak physical condition. I get that. But I'm just saying, if you're going to be in the military, maybe we shouldn't be really significantly dropping the amount of push-ups and sit-ups and how fast you can run a mile so that you can get in. That's all I'm saying. I'm not even talking like we get it if you're getting older in life and they try to adjust those numbers, but we're talking just getting through boot camp.
So that's like, that kind of made me think about like the different types of aliens that people say are out there. Like the reptilians is one of my favorites because I just think that's such a cool idea. There's the evil reptilians. I'm like, ooh, tell me more. And then there's the Palladians. What do they look like? They have blonde hair. Ooh, blue eyes? Yep, blonde hair and blue eyes. Sounding kind of suspect. Then there's the grays. The tall grays and the short grays. And then, like the Anunnaki. Ooh, what do they look like? Nobody knows. Like,
there's like light beings. There's all kinds of. I never realized either how in depth this stuff was. I had heard the reptilians. I didn't know there's like. I could be wrong, but I know there's supposedly three main classifications. And guys, listen, I don't know their technical terms here, but you got the big ones, the really big ones that are like 8 foot tall, and then you got like the average middle sized ones like us, and then you got the shorter ones. There's like some of these like hobbit sized ones. They're like 3.5, 4 feet tall. Supposedly they live really far down in the dirt and stuff. I don't know. Listen, there's a lot to this stuff. I don't know.
I think they call the big ones like the Draconians or something.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
It's got a cool dragon name.
Yeah.
And if you listen, they probably walk around calling you, hey Ted, what are you doing today? Ted. Steve, I'm going to Earth. What are you doing? Oh, Earth. Yeah, not right now, dude. There's some seriously bad stuff going there. Yeah. Well, I'm going to eat this kitten first. Like,
what if one of them are the ghost pilot right now? What if there's already been alien invasion? Oh man, hang on. We got to correct. Here's another term I got to correct. Off-world alien. Got to get politically correct with it. Yes. Off-world alien entity here. What if they've already gotten involved here and he's the ghost pilot over there in Ukraine? Come on, where did this thing come from? Where did this guy's training come from?
Yeah, we can go deeper. Check this out. Not only is the pilot a draconian, lizard person, but his aircraft is actually a spaceship with a hologram projecting a Ukrainian fighter jet, and he's just going around shooting lasers that are disguised as missiles.
I wonder. I almost want to look now. Is there footage of this guy at all? Like,
oh yeah, I think so. There has to be.
What is? So he's called Ukrainian Ghost Fighter or something?
No, he's the Ghost of Kiev.
Ghost of Kiev. All right, let's see if a video comes up, because if it does... Oh, I don't even know we can really share videos here, obviously. We don't want to get you to get a strike or anything.
Open, as long as it's open source, which most of it is. As long as it's not CNN, I think they will...
They'll attack.
How dare you!
Water? Bottled water!
So tired of that guy. He's getting more views.
He's getting more views than us. I don't see... It looks like most of what is coming up for me is not like an actual video footage of it. It's more like people doing their stories on it and stuff. So I don't see one that just specifically says that. But I do see one that has like maybe it flying in the background. But yeah, the first ace of the 21st century says he has 6 kills claimed in Ukraine. And that was from 1 day ago. And I think he did have another one today, wasn't it? Maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
So at least 6. I don't know. I don't know, guys. That's the way it goes sometimes.
That might be the TR3B.
Oh my God, it is the TR3B. People called for it. They don't even know it's out there right now. And if it is, it's tearing it up. It's tearing the game up right now.
It's working really good, and their holographic camouflage is on point.
Oh man,
they got big speakers playing jet sounds as it flies by.
Okay. What about this? Okay, I have to ask something. Let's get, what do we have? Like maybe 10, 15 minutes or so left here. So can I throw a wild scenario at you? Just see what you think about it. And I get this is not a fun scenario, so just be warned, listener. This is like just speculating here. I don't think, Putin is necessarily an incompetent man. I feel he's a very intelligent guy who went through the KGB, went through some stuff. So I think he's a smart guy. Everything that's happened here seems as if someone else that runs a country is trying to plan this battle. Names won't be named here, but it feels as though someone's like, this is the first time they've ever tried to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, is there going to be somewhere else something's going to go down? Like, we're all going to be so distracted by this spot. It's like a ploy, you know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, you guys thought it was here. Surprise.
But what's actually happening is China's taking Taiwan.
I'm just saying, you look at those islands, they've been building islands for years out there right now.
That's so weird.
They're literally building islands because then they're moving, they can move their boats, they can resupply, they reset things up, they stock up. They've built a supply. I don't know. Sometimes in the back of my head, I really want this all to go away. I'm hoping it just goes away. But like, it just feels so incompetent that it's like, you know, I'm not taking anything away from you and I, but like just average Joes is at work and look at this and go, man, something's like, he's messing this up. You know what I mean? Like, something's weird about this.
I saw a video today where a Russian APC, which is an armored personnel carrier, ran out of gas, and they didn't even know where they were like supposed to be going. And it was just one vehicle. I was like, who the hell is organizing this?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. You know what it feels like? It feels like during World War II when we were getting ready to do invade the Omaha Beach, and we inflated all those blow-up tanks and stuff.
Oh, the fake ships and everything. Yeah. We had them off a different coast.
And we literally dropped in paratroopers that weren't real, that were set to explode and burn up. That's kind, in my mind, looking at it, it feels like, although we know that there are legitimately some people there are some groups, you know, troops on the ground, from some of the videos we're seeing at least, and fighting going on, but it just, something feels off. I don't know, man. Something just doesn't like feel like, in my head when they were talking about it earlier, like, yeah, Putin's gonna get taken out if he's not careful. It's like, yeah, but something feels like, I don't feel like this guy would have messed this up this bad. Who knows? I mean, hopefully he is. I'm not saying I want this guy to like do well, but it just doesn't make sense from a strategic standpoint or an execution standpoint at all.
But you know what the good news is for the UFO community?
Don't you dare forget them. But let's get back to the UFO community.
Let's get back to the important part of this
roasting
discussion.
Them so bad. Hey, I love every one of you sexy bastards out there. Okay, settle down.
But this is, we can immediately eliminate the idea that the Tic Tac and these super advanced drones are Russian.
You would think. I mean, yeah, because
at least they're not as confident as we thought they were.
The technology they're putting out there right now, I don't know. I heard that Russia had built that suit that like a guy, they're like, a single man can withstand a nuclear blast. I was like, dang, these guys are really getting it. It's
a room that they call a suit because you lock your feet into it, and it's like 14 feet of thick steel, and then there's 7 feet of lead all around you. Right. They're like, this will withstand nuclear blast. What is it? It's a suit.
How? Maybe there was a dialect misunderstanding. They said suite, like it's a suite, like that's the bunker suite edition, but we thought it was a suit.
It is suit. It's a suit? Yes, you know, like at Las Vegas, you go and you get a suit. Sweet.
Oh, man. Exactly. That's what's happened. We have now figured it out for sure. But yeah, I don't know, like I said, there's something that feels off a little bit.
It does.
About the whole thing. And I hope I'm wrong about all that, far as maybe he just is that incompetent. And we've just had a false narrative, you know, for a long time about the guy, you know, riding around shirtless on a horse. Just out there in the countryside.
He's the only guy from like his KGB unit back when he was an agent that was still alive, and he was like, yes, I was KGB. I'm president now. And everybody who knew he was just an incompetent dipshit is dead. So they're just like, what did you do? I did things for Russia.
For the motherland.
For the motherland.
You know.
Drink vodka.
God, they do drink a lot of vodka over there, though, right? I mean, I know America probably has a drink. It seems like everybody has it. Seems like everybody you go to. I don't know how this happens. I've noticed two things: drinking and women. Okay, that's gonna. Wow, that came out like a chauvinistic male right there. Okay, but listen here. Let me explain myself. What I'm trying to say is these two things seem to apply wherever you put them, and what I mean by that is, if you're talking about drinking and people are like, oh yeah, my family's Irish, and people are like, oh, drinkers, right?
Yeah.
But then if you're like, yeah, we're Russian, like, oh, drinkers, you could like go anywhere in the world and be like, they're Germans.
Italy,
Oh my God, they're
wine,
drinkers.
Germans are drinking beer.
Mm-hmm. And far as the ladies or the women's comment, what I meant by that was, my wife was giving me a hard time. She's like, do you think that she was, I forget who we were talking about. Somebody popped up. Was that a Swedish chicks or Brazil? It was Brazilian chicks. That's what it started with. She's like, you think Brazilians are hot? And I was like, yeah, they're kind of hot, right? And she was like, what about Swedish chicks? And I was like, oh, also kind of hot. And then she was like listening to these places, and every one of them I started to realize, I was like, you know what, babe? I'm going to stop you right there. I'm starting to feel the sense that
hot women everywhere.
Woman hot anywhere we go. You know, like, I think we could just about go anywhere.
Except, I don't know, maybe Mongolia?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know. Now that's going to get a comment.
Yeah, that right might get you one now. I can't fairly assess that. I don't think I've ever Googled like people from Mongolia, see what they look like. But yeah, I feel like the drinking and the women, wherever you go, people are like, oh, yeah, because of that particular region you belong to, you must drink, or women are hot there.
Yeah, somebody
seems to be the way it is.
Somebody is writing an angry tweet right now. Oh my God.
Fingers are burning.
Water. Tony said that there aren't beautiful women in Mongolia.
Sorry, I'm not. I'm
just clip that, and somebody just put that on Twitter.
You know what's weird about this is I feel like, not that we're not trying to grow our channels and stuff and all that jazz, and I think you're well known in the community, but it's not like we're not some elite status of whatever in anything to where we can say stuff like this. I kind of feel bad for people that can't. Like Lou Elizondo, he can't come on and just be like, he can't come on and tell the stories about like the first time he got high or the first time he got drunk. You know what I mean? At least I haven't heard him tell these stories. Maybe he does. But my point being, he doesn't get to, that side of Lou we don't get.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't get
like
that.
Lou, who was the first guy you ever got in a fight with? We don't know. I can't talk about it. Unfortunately, I just can't declassify that at this point. It's my NDA.
I have an NDA and I can't talk about the first dude I punched in the face in middle school. Because I was in the CIA at that point.
I was in the CIA. I benched 350 at age 7. Age 7. I once killed a man with dental floss at age 9. And then revived him to show him that's how deadly I am. I both killed him and revived. Just kidding. Now we're making. Listen, he's not that bad. Who's the guy that was before him? There was a gentleman. Oh, I can't think of his name right now. There's been a couple winners in every community, wherever you go, regardless of UFO. Community. Any community you go into, there's people who come up with these stories.
Stephen Greer.
Steve. Have you seen the pictures of Stephen Greer shirtless that Bree and Jamie share all the time? Oh my God, I love it so much. Yeah.
Now, talk about somebody in the UFO community who has made some money for themselves.
Fair. And dude, he just bought that, I think it's
his third house.
400 acres or something like that. He just bought a massive amount of land. I want to say it's either in the Carolinas or in Rhode Island, wherever he's at. Maybe it's in Rhode Island. Anyways, he bought an immense amount of land, and he's dedicating it to this idea of going and doing the
CE5.
The CE5 stuff, and it's each their own. As long as people are aware going in, that's my thing. If people, make an educated decision, that's on them. You can't control people and what they do. I just think it's weird. I know a lot of people hate him for making the app, but if that guy got together with somebody and paid somebody to actually design the app, he probably put a lot. It's not cheap to make an app.
No, it's not.
So he probably had to get a loan or do a down payment or something. I think it's okay to, I think he was selling it for like $5 or something. I'm fine with that. I don't really have a problem with somebody if you put work into something, having people pay for a service. Mm-hmm. Where it gets weird is acting like your service is the only way. Yeah. That's the weird.
That's where he starts to what's the difference between L. Ron Hubbard and Stephen Greer?
It's like when we Prohibition took place and we shut down all the beer and the whiskey and everything, and we came out with Bud Light. We had
all the
Coors.
Speakeasies came out.
There was 3 types of beer. You can only get these 3 for like generate. Now you go to, it's just ridiculous now. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but God's sake, like you go into some bars now and you're like, Jesus Christ, like 240 specific types.
And the names of some of these like crafts beer, they're like donkey balls. Like they have some of the dumbest fucking names, and I'm just like, who named this beer Devil's Snot?
Exactly right. Devil's Snot. I mean, yeah, sure. Some of them you might. You're just trying them for the name at that point. You're not even. You're not even looking what's in it. You're like, wait, Devil's Snot. All right, I guess everybody's got to do it at least once.
Whale penis. I don't want to try that. Try me some whale penis. This beer looks great.
They serve it with like a wet piece of cheese just hanging off the edge of the cup, out of the foam. Oh man!
Kind of weird. It's a pale ale.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man.
Oh god.
Zombie Apocalypse Ale. Oh, we were still here.
Oh, yeah.
Now that'd be one to maybe try, right?
That would be great.
You know, one they have here. We have a local chain. I don't think they spread that far, but we have a place that are called Kroger. They're like a Michigan-based. Everybody has them, right? Yeah. Piggly Wiggly, wherever you go, everybody's got their own little local thing. Mm-hmm. But these guys have branched out quite a bit. And one of the cool things they'll do is they'll let you make your own 6-pack. So it's like whatever it is, 10 or 12, whatever the price is. And you make your own. And I kind of like that because like nobody wants to buy the 6-pack. Open that first, and you're like, God, this is. I'm never drinking these other 5. You dump that one out.
This is horrible.
Yeah, but there was.
Have you ever tried to fit like the big like bottles into like the 6-pack? Like, okay, maybe if I just put it this way, I could.
No, damn it. Maybe what I'll do is I'll take out the one little covered piece and put 2. So you no, this is part of it, guys. Sure, that's a bottle of wine. No, it came in the 6-pack.
You have 6 bottles of
just
wine.
6 bottles of wine. I came with a milk carton, my own milk carton.
They're all like $35 bottles, and you're like, yes, I would like to buy this 6-pack.
This 6-pack for 12, 15 bucks. But there was one I tried that was so interesting, and I actually kind of like it. It's a habanero cacti based, or is it habanero guava?
Okay.
Beer, and it's so strange to drink something that's nice and cold. You get kind of like the little, like the guava has like a little bit of sweetness to it, and then you get this weird kind of not overly aggressive, but a heat. From the habanero.
Yeah.
And I actually did enjoy that one, but I don't know that I would have right off the bat bought a 6-pack of that one, because who knows, But there are some pretty interesting ones out there. Obi, what would you make yours if you were making your own beer? What would you name yours, or is Zombie Apocalypse Ale what you would call yours? Because what was the one that made it really big for us? It's expensive. Mother's Milk, is that what it's called?
Or
is it
Dragon's Milk?
Dragon's Milk. That's the one. Yeah, that one's for. I guess it's not the most expensive beer.
No,
but it's pricey for like a 4-pack, and it's like $22 4 beers.
You're like, oh.
I'm not at a bar right now. I'm not tipping anybody. What's going on here? Oh man,
what do you think this is? A football game?
Oh my god, I can't even with. Oh Jesus. Because I mean, you don't have to say where you live if you don't want to, but like I'm in Michigan, right? Mm-hmm. And it's got a little bit bad everywhere, but there was a while there. You went to any sporting event, and it was for bottled water. They're like, that's $8.55, and it's like, we're surrounded by the Great Lakes.
There is water everywhere.
Exactly. Where are we exporting? Where are we importing our water from right now? You guys can hook a hose up right there.
and then you look at it, and it's like one of those Nestle bottles, and it says bottled in Battle Creek or Kalamazoo or
yeah. Which it's been a battle out here. There was a lot of people were not happy about giving them access to that. There was a big to do about that a couple of years ago. Excuse me, and I still think it probably long term is going to not be great in some ways.
Yeah.
Obi says pretty sure everything has been taken at this point. I don't know. Is the Devil's Taint out there yet?
I'm pretty sure you could. There's no whale penis.
A whale penis with we called it already. You cut the piece of string cheese in half to give a little, little something to it.
You
you let it hang over. Oh my God, dude! I feel like we're marketing that right there. You
Yep.
can come out. You have your bottled water, and you can also mark it on the side. I also I create my own whale penis, whale ale.
Yeah, whale ale.
Whale ale. We don't. The penis is hidden. We don't tell them about that part. It just shows up.
It's in really small print under ale. And it takes like a year, and somebody's looking at it, drinking it, and go, "That's a penis."
Oh my God!
And then
That'd be the
ignore
best
like
thing.
every reply about it. Oh,
Yeah.
scrotum.
Hobo scrotum. Oh man, yeah. I feel like I'm not. If I see that on the list, although I maybe would try it once, that's not my first choice.
No.
I don't walk into a place I'm feeling insecure. I don't recognize any of the names of these drinks, and I see hobo scrotum. That's not my. I'll take the hobo scrotum.
We could market everything. We could market to women too. So we could have scented candles and just go like super crazy with the names, like Sticky Porn Theater.
Sticky what? Sticky porn theater.
That's the smell that candle is. And then,
Our
like,
number one seller or buyer for that one for sure would be like college campuses, just in a frat house, like everywhere, every level of the house. They got the sticky. Bro, is it that sticky porn? You got the sticky porn lit up right now? That's the sticky porn.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, mine has a little crackling wick in it. Oh, they think of everything.
Right. God, for the ladies, you'd have to sell it as the incense, right?
Yes.
That's how you'd have to market that, because they like to go through and really wave it around at stuff. Listen, I'm not knocking the incense, guys. You settle down on that too. I always feel bad. Like if I joke about stuff, I tell people like I genuinely love almost everybody. Like when I poke fun at something, I don't mean it in a bad way to any of that stuff, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like if we step back and we look at it just a little bit, it's a little funny.
Always down to have some fun with stuff, because I think everybody takes everything way too seriously all the time. So why not just take an hour or two out the day and just make fun of stuff on the weekends?
Well, think about too, like if an entity is observing you in your room, and you're just like, bad spirits, go away, and you're just like, but like it's doing nothing. So like from the perspective of the spirit, you're like, you ain't doing nothing. I'm
And
still
it's just
here.
sitting there going, bro.
Yeah, Daniel Howard. That's what we said. We got to go with the incense for the ladies. You know, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, we just gotta. We'll call them like. We'll have like a sort of feminine name.
Ooh, it's
It'd
gotta
just be
include like pumpkin, because pumpkin anything, right?
Yep.
So you just gotta get something snazzy with a pumpkin on there, and I don't know what it is at that point.
Somebody will buy it. We might have a huge lesbian, following.
Huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
Sugar tits.
Sugar
And
tit
then-
pumpkins. Titty pumpkins. That's what we'll call it. Titty pumpkins candles. And it just looks like a titty. So the wick on the inside of the candle looks like a titty. And the wick is a little... This titty pumpkin candles right there. Marketing it now, boy. You heard it on bottled water first. Nobody can steal that idea. You're not stealing our
That's
titty
right.
pumpkins. And you're not stealing... What was the other one? Sticky porn. You can't steal sticky porn. Sticky porn or titty
theater,
pumpkins.
Titty pumpkins and whale penis, whale ale.
Whale ale. Yeah.
Oh, God,
Or what do
I
they call
think,
it? What's the fancy word for phallus? Is that what it's called? Whale phallus. What if
whale
you
phallus.
you could have a fancier version? It's $2 more. You could add the whale
yes.
phallus.
And all you do is you sprinkle a little salt in it.
Oh my Jesus Christ! It's perfect.
Well,
Oh, man.
yeah, this has definitely gone down a weird road.
That's okay. People came here to hear about UFOs. You learned something today. All right.
Hey.
Oh
I
my
love
God.
it. Well, we're over the
Oh
hour
yeah.
and a half.
Look at that.
I know it just disappears when you're having fun.
That's true.
Hey, everybody, make sure you follow Big Willy and UFO Garage. Now I can't say Willy right now without laughing.
We'd have to market one drink like that too, I guess, right?
Yeah, we do.
It could be bottled Big Willy.
Oh,
That is our
yeah.
that is our now energy drink. You want some
And
bottled
didn't
Big
we put
Willy?
asparagus in there.
Oh no! Oh man, we're on fire right now. This is I love it so much.
I am so glad it took us like 4 months to get this to happen because this is so worth it.
You should, you know who you should get on here next? Sonny. Sonny has so many, like, if you get him just talking about like building in his garage and talking stuff like this, that guy has so many crazy ideas. I love him so much. It's hilarious.
Awesome. All right. Tell everybody again where they can find you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, thank you very much for having me on today, obviously. And so, yeah, you can check me out every Friday. I'm on the UFO Garage podcast, 10 p.m. Eastern to midnight there. You have a variety of guests we usually put up, and we open up the last hour to half hour to have people on if they want to come on and hang out with the guest. And then you can catch me on Spaced Out Radio every Saturday and Sunday, which I'll be doing tonight, actually, the after hours, with Gemma Jade, Thin Lizzie Borden, John Hudson. I don't know what stories they're bringing just yet, but I'm going to bring the Giant of Kandar. I know we've all talked about it many, many times, but let's revisit it. Let's talk about it one more time. And those are the main places you can hang out with me. So
awesome.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, I'm going to put you into the backstage. And that is the end of episode. We'll call it 9. Yeah, we'll call it 9. That was fun. If you haven't done it, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the little bell notification. If you're listening to this on Spotify, whatever the hell Spotify does, like it or do something, whatever it does, or whatever you're listening to this. It's on Rumble. Probably tomorrow. Takes them a while to upload stuff. But with that, I'm going to try to end this broadcast without looking completely stupid. It's kind of hard. Let's see if I can do it.